What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mondays with Matt. Man, I know I say this every single week, but it literally feels like 8,000 years have passed, like a biblical number of years have passed from last week until this week. I don't know how it happens over and over again. What's up, Lauren Harris? How you doing, my friend? Guys, I'm so happy to have you here on Mondays with Matt. I don't know if you noticed anything different, but I finally bit the bullet. I finally went landscape mode on my show. So welcome to the first Mondays with Matt done in landscape mode. And I'm doing this because I'm now going to be uploading all my Mondays with Matts to YouTube as well. So you'll be seeing my stuff on YouTube. What's up, Helene? How you doing, Liz? Good to see you guys. Give me a 1 if you're excited to be here. If you're excited for Mondays with Matt, I know I am. As always, I'm ecstatic to be here. So much stuff has happened. I don't even know where to start. But I guess I'm going to start by waiting for people to get on. Gabby's here. Cinnamon is here. Cinnamon is battling cancer, guys. Give Cinnamon a 2 for battling cancer, kicking butt, and just being a total rock star in her life. Cinnamon, you are an inspiration to me, and I'm so freaking proud of you for everything you're doing. Give us an update. Cinnamon declared a couple weeks ago on our show that she is beating cancer, and that is her declaration. That's the line in the sand that she has drawn. What's up, Thomas Mangum? Hi, Lucy O'Callahan. Oh, I'm so excited to see you guys. Kristen Childress. So many amazing people coming on. I'm so grateful to have y'all here. Thomas, my boy. All right, guys. Mondays with Matt time, guys. Let's do it. Keith Geis is here. Bonnie's here. How you doing? I love you guys dearly. And what has happened in the last week? Holy crud, I don't even know. Well, let me go ahead and start off by introducing you to everybody watching live, everybody watching on the replay. My name is Matt Schaefer. I am a transformational speaker and coach. As a coach, I work as an experienced intuitive coach for women who are looking to get deeper connections and greater empowerment in their lives. I am passionate about it, and I'll tell you, I have been talking to incredible women all week. I'm scaling out my coaching. I'm taking on new clients. And so if you or anyone you know fit that description, if you're a woman that wants deeper connections, deeper relationships, and a more fulfilling human experience in your life, that is the sort of coaching I do. And I would love to support you. So I'd love to get on a free call with you. We can talk about it and just explore some stuff. It's amazing. I'm doing these calls. I've been doing calls for the last couple of days with amazing members from Helena Hart's tribe. And I mean, just on the call, women are having transformations. And that is like an indescribably beautiful feeling. I can't even tell you how honored I am to be able to support women in just breaking through and understanding like what's possible for them. It's like the greatest feeling. So I'm on fire about that. Lots of big news to come on that I will be explaining to you guys, and I'll be telling you I'm launching a lot of new stuff, a lot of new content. Be sure to check out Helena Hart's Facebook page, her Helena Hart's YouTube channel. We did an amazing video on Friday that's got a lot of traction, and a lot of people are really enjoying it. So we went through a whole bunch of amazing stuff on the dynamics between men and women. So this is my show, Mondays with Matt, that I have been doing now for over 2 years. I swear, like 2.5 years now. Liz, I'd love to get on a call with you. Let's do it. This is Mondays with Matt. Send me a message, guys. Send me a direct message if you do want to get on a call with me. I'd love to do it. What's up, Melissa Benedetti? How you doing, my dear? And guys, this is Mondays with Matt. This is my show, my weekly show on emotional intelligence, personal development, spirituality, leadership, all the things that I'm passionate about and that I live and that I'm learning about every day. This is a dynamic, co-creative experience with you. I want to hear from you. I want to talk to you guys about these concepts. This is stuff that I'm learning in real time, and I'll be honest, on this show, a lot of times you teach me just as much as I teach you guys, hopefully. So please talk to me, participate with me. That's what makes this fun. That's what makes this fun for me, is the dynamic and the conversation that we have. Hi, Kendra Holgraf. How you doing, my dear? I love you and your smile and everything about you too. I'm so happy to have you guys on here today because we're going to talk about a subject that has been at the forefront of my mind and at the forefront of so many conversations that I've had over the last couple weeks and really the last couple of years. And I realized I haven't done a live really focusing on it. We're going to be talking today about the concepts of masculine and feminine energy. All right, masculine and feminine energy. And I know people have been beating this stuff to death and talking about it in little nips and tucks here and there, but I don't know that anybody's ever done, I don't know that anybody in a while that I've seen online has done a deep dive into the relationship of masculine and feminine energy, both between us and out in the world. So when I talk about masculine and feminine energy, what's the first thing that comes to mind when I talk about how masculine and feminine energy relate to each other? What's the first thing that comes to mind for you when I talk about that, or when I just bring it up? I got a couple guesses, but I want to hear it from you. I think for a lot of people, right? For a lot of people, when you hear, oh, masculine and feminine energy and the way masculine and feminine energy work, people think about it in terms of relationship. And that's true. That is a fundamental way that the masculine and the feminine energies interrelate, is in relationship between two people. Christine says yin and yang. Absolutely, Christine. That's a great way of describing it. Gabby says doing versus receiving. Helene says doing versus feeling. Yeah, and those are all great answers. Those are all great answers. That's really taking it down to its core principle. Keith says chemistry. Chemistry is a great one. That's a great answer. That's another great answer because it does come down to chemistry. It comes down to physics. It comes down to, guys, it comes down to atomic particles, subatomic particles. The law of gender applies to all things. Kendra says a time and place for both. Absolutely, Kendra. Guys, masculine and feminine energy fall under what's called the law of gender. The law of gender states that in all things that exist in this world, that are functioning and that are material in this world, there is polarity. Okay, polarity means that there is a balance of masculine and feminine energy that exists within them. So that goes for obviously the relationships that exist between people. That also goes for every piece of matter in the universe. Because if we go down to subatomic particles, right, they've got positive and negative, they've got protons, neutrons, and electrons. There is polarity that exists in every piece of matter that exists in the world. So we have to have a balance in order to exist, in order for things to function, in order for things to work. So, and that includes within us. One of the greatest places where we're not conscious of the balance of masculine and feminine energy is within each of us. And that's something that has to be looked at. Because if we don't know our own relationship internally with masculine and feminine energy, we're not going to be able to show up and understand the way our polarity works out in the world. Does that make sense? You have to understand what it means within you, right? Because within each and every one of us, we have our own unique balance point of masculine and feminine energy. And when we're in harmony, when we're in ownership, and we understand where that balance point is, that's when we're in our most powerful state. When it gets thrown out of whack, that's when things start to get a little gnarly in our lives, if you can understand what I'm saying. Like the healthy, like if someone is in their healthy, there's a term for this. There is healthy masculine, and then there is toxic masculine. Does that make sense? So there's a healthy masculine energy. So if we're talking about masculine energy as an energy, when the masculine energy is in a healthy space, it's results oriented, it's action oriented. It's something that, it's all about getting things done, doing, creating, building, being competitive, not necessarily in a toxic way, but being competitive in a healthy way, but focusing on the bottom line, being efficient, being effective, building things, So the healthy masculine is a huge driving force in the world. Linda talks about the sacred masculine. Yeah, the sacred masculine. That's a powerful way of describing it. The sacred or healthy masculine is one of the greatest creative and driving forces in the world, right? So when someone's in their healthy masculine, they're going to be very productive and very results driven and very focused, very single focused, okay? But the toxic masculine, when the masculine goes into the extreme and it's not balanced with the feminine in a healthy way, toxic masculine is very dangerous, because the toxic masculine is playing very win-lose It's aggressive, it's confrontational, it's jealous, it's possessive. There's a deep insecurity to the toxic masculine. You know what I'm saying? Narcissism. Fundamentally, when a man is a narcissist, a lot of times he is existing and residing deeply in his toxic masculine. And so do you guys know anybody? Give me a 1 if you know any men. Controlling, exactly, Keith. Controlling is a toxic masculine trait. And it's interesting, a lot of the toxic masculine, if you really think about it, it comes down to fear. When people are in their toxic masculine, they try to control and dominate from a place of fear. What's up, Native? How you doing? What's going on? Ira, Linda, Hannah, Elizabeth, how you doing, sweetheart? Good to see you on. So guys, we all know people that are in their toxic masculine. These people are not in balance. They've lost sight of the polarity of what it means to have a healthy balance. Yeah, Robert says he knows it through. Robert says he knows a few. Melissa says I was ready for that. Melissa's got a PhD in the toxic masculine. Not with herself, just, in some of her relationships. Oh, Melissa, I'm just teasing you. I don't normally throw my clients under the bus, guys. I promise I don't. I just like to tease them because they're like family to me. Cinnamon says, we are all born with feminine. Oh, let me get this thing off of here. We are all born with feminine and masculine traits, are we not? It's all about how we're nurtured that defines whether it's going to be negative or positive. Yeah, we all are. We all have masculine and feminine within us, right? And it's good to know that because these energies are fluid and we can shift them situationally as we need to. All right, so we've explored the masculine, what toxic masculine looks like, and what healthy masculine looks like. Oh, Melissa says, with myself too. All right, Melissa, I didn't want to say it. Melissa may have had a little toxic, not necessarily toxic masculine, but a little overly masculine energy in herself. So here's the thing, speaking heteronormatively, okay? I'm speaking about men and women in the traditional sense, where the man is going to have a majority masculine balance point of energy, and the woman is going to have a majority feminine level of energy, okay? In same-sex relationships, most of the time, there is a similar level of polarity that happens. Right? Where there is a masculine and a feminine partner. Polarity exists in most relationships, almost all relationships that are functioning and healthy. I can't speak for all relationships because I don't know all people. But I know that in general, polarity is critical for relationships to maintain a healthy balance, okay? So now let's look at feminine energy. What does it mean to be in your healthy feminine? What does healthy feminine energy look like? It's teamwork, it's connection, it's feeling-based, right? It's all based around collaboration and sharing. And it is one of the most powerful creative forces. I mean, think about just the concept of birth, right? Feminine energy is the fundamental creative force in the universe. It is. So feminine energy is what brings us together. It's what unites us, and it's what allows us to, as a team, create the world that we live in and create everything. It's very relationship-based. So that's what healthy femininity is. That's what the healthy feminine is. It is the connective tissue that joins all of us together. Does that make sense? So it is profound. It's nurturing. Keith said neutering. I'm pretty sure he meant nurturing. And you're right, Keith. It's nurturing energy. It's the mothering of all of us, right? It's the nourishment of our soul, and it's the loving force that allows relationships to build over time, okay? So it is a profound and beautiful force. Feminine energy is, especially when it's healthy. But when feminine energy gets toxic, it can be fearful. It can be very fearful. It can be demonizing to men. I think the Me Too movement has been really great in bringing women's issues to the forefront, but I also think that sometimes it can devolve into a demonization of men generally. And then men get fearful of it too. So it can be polarizing in a different way. Michelle, how you doing, my friend? So we got to be careful. And so then with toxic femininity, what else is it? It's passive aggressiveness. It's controlling from a space of fear, but not in a confrontational space, the way that toxic masculinity goes. Toxic femininity controls and dominates through guilt, passive aggressiveness, and through all those sort of needling, undermining, weakening things, right? It's a deeply emasculating energy. Toxic femininity is deeply emasculating. And that's the thing that's dangerous, I think, about when women operate from a space of fear and operate from a space of demonization of men, is they can be embodying sometimes toxic femininity. Women being vicious in the way that they undercut other women. Does that happen at all out there? That's a great example of toxic femininity. Just how toxic masculine men will crush other men to accomplish what they want, right? They'll just, undercut and destroy other men. Toxic femininity is when women will just viciously judge and belittle other women, behind their backs and undercut them and all that sort of stuff. It's savage. It's a savage energy. And it causes a lot of damage, especially if it's with a mother towards a child. Yeah, so Liz, you were right. Neutering also works. Nurturing that's interesting. Nurturing is the healthy feminine, and neutering is the toxic feminine. Good catch, Liz. Thank you for catching that. Cinnamon says, yeah, guys, please share your experiences, share your questions that you have around this as we go. Cinnamon says, I've been around energy that felt like a circumcision. I can only imagine. Yikes, Cinnamon. Was that the feminine? That was the toxic feminine energy? Yeah, so here's the thing, guys. So we got to be really conscious of what it feels like within us, because I know all of us have sometimes embodied the toxic energy within our own balance point, within our own gender, right? So whatever gender you are, whatever you identify with, a majority masculine or a majority feminine energy person, there have probably been times in your life, because we're all human, where we slip into the toxic end of the spectrum. Am I right? Have any of you guys, give me a 1 if you've ever found yourself in the toxic end of the spectrum. Be real with me. Listen, I have been in the toxic masculine many times in my life. And that's something that's really important to understand, is that these energies are fluid. They are very fluid, and they're dynamic within us at all times. Our own internal balance point of masculine, our own internal levels of masculine and feminine energy are always rising and falling situationally and in different areas and different arenas. Linda says, it's a comfortable conversation. Each person will be in opposite energy which is why it's comfortable. Observe people becoming uncomfortable when you switch into the same energy as them. Well, yeah, and that's a very important point, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, because I want to address and explore the. Melissa didn't even put a 1; she just smiled. Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been in the toxic area of our own energy at some time or another, and that's okay. We're human beings. It's going to happen. But what's important is that we don't get stuck there. Do you hear what I'm saying? I really want I want this to land with you guys. We have to be careful that we don't get stuck in the toxic level of our own gender energy. Okay? Because if we get stuck there, if a man gets stuck in the toxic masculine, you want to know what he's going to end up doing? He's going to end up alienating everyone around him. He might end up very successful, counterintuitively, right? If he's in his toxic masculine a lot, he might end up successful in business, but you also know what he's going to end up with? He's going to end up alone. He's going to end up alone, he's going to end up hated, and he's going to end up miserable. Because he's going to play win-lose, he's going to screw over everybody he knows, he's going to stomp on anybody else that gets in his way, and by the time he gets to the top of the mountain, there's no one there for him to celebrate with. Do you know anybody like that? I know a lot of people like that. When I was a lawyer, everybody I worked for in the private sector were deeply in their toxic masculine. Or they end up president. And like I said, nobody likes them. Helene, we're not going political. We're not going political today. Pull it back. Reel it in. Reel it in, Helene. We're not going on a Trump rant for once. I'm not going to do it, although you make a great point. So yeah, guys, we've all been there, but it's important for us to know what the healthy and the unhealthy level of our own energy is, and know what your unique balance point is, okay? Some men are not going to be as aggressively masculine and as high energy masculine as others, and that's okay. If you're a man with a little more feminine energy within you, and you're a little bit more soft, and you're a little bit more collaborative, and you're a little bit more creative, that's beautiful. Own it. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And if you're a woman who has a little bit more masculine energy and a little bit more get shit doneicity, like Miss Melissa B over there, which when she's in her healthy balance point, that's fine. That's beautiful, but she's got to be careful. If your balance point is a little more close to it being on the other side, it's a lot easier for you to slip into a toxic space. Like it's easy for Melissa to slip into a toxic masculinity, even though she's feminine. And if you're a masculine man, but you have a lot of feminine energy within you, you got to be really careful about slipping a little too far into your feminine energy and becoming totally depolarized, right? And because if you're too feminine, it's going to really interfere with your ability to be in relationship and powerful polarized relationship with women. Does that make sense? So it's important to A, know what your healthy balance is, B, know what being in your toxic masculinity or toxic feminine looks like. Because once you know your own energy, that's when you can really start to gauge what it's like to be in relationship with another person, okay? Because just like there is polarity and a balance point within you, you get to foster, Linda says we're all learning. Exactly, Linda, we are all learning. And here's what we get to do. We get to recognize and understand what the polarity looks and feels like in our relationship. In our romantic, I'm just going to speak about romantic relationships, but polarity exists in all relationships, have a degree of polarity. Friendships, business relationships, so on and so forth. But just for the sake of time, we're going to talk about polarity specifically in the sense of romantic relationships, because that's where it's most clear, okay? So you get to know where your energy is and what your partner's balance point is, okay? Know what your balance point is of masculine and feminine. Know what your partner, what's up, Aaron Whip? How you doing, my dear? Good to see another one of my beautiful clients. I love you, Aaron. You are amazing. All right, Cinnamon says, it's a daily battle for me to stay positive and find the beauty in such an ugly disease, but I do. Dang right, Cinnamon, and you're gonna beat it. You're gonna beat it, and we're gonna have a party on this show when you do. Cinnamon is gonna beat cancer, guys, because she is a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse, all right? So again, guys, when we're talking about the polarity of our relationship, you have a unique balance point. You get to be aware of that. Your partner, whether they are the masculine or feminine partner, you get to know what their balance point is. And then, most importantly, you get to know what the balance point of masculine and feminine energy is in your relationship. Your relationship is its own independent thing, okay? It is its own independent entity. And so you get to know, okay, when we're in sync, when me and my partner are at our peak polarized place, this is what it feels like. This is what our relationship feels like, right? This is the ways of being that I embody. This is how she is, and we are on fire, right? When you're in that balance point, that is the sweet spot for your guys' relationship, okay? Because every relationship has to have polarity, all right? Men and women are interdependent in terms of, are energetically interdependent. Notice that I didn't say codependent. I said interdependent, okay? We get to be really, really, really conscious of the fact that men and women, we need each other energetically and relationally. All right, so the way that the masculine and the feminine are interdependent with each other is very simple, okay? This is a little bit of a tangent, but it's super, super important. The feminine needs the masculine to make them feel heard and make them feel safe. Okay, the women in our lives, the majority feminine partner in a relationship is depending upon the masculine partner to make them feel heard and safe in the way that they show up for them. Does that make sense? All right, that's what they need. You get to make, if you're the masculine partner in a relationship, your responsibility to your partner is to hear them and make them feel safe and protective and set the frame, set the context of that relationship. Does that make sense? That is absolutely critical. And the masculine partner's duty, because here's the thing, the feminine is all about freedom and unapologetic emotional ownership. And so the feminine has a tendency from an emotional standpoint to be a little all over the place. Because if they're in ownership of their emotions, emotions shift often and powerfully. And so in addition to the masculine making the feminine feel heard and safe, so by what? Listening to your partner, reinforcing them, acknowledging them, doing all the things that men, if you're owning your relationship with your woman, you're doing that. You're allowing her to get out whatever it is that she has to say. Women have a lot that they get to say to us, and we get to shut up and hold space for them. Okay? Does that make sense? And we get to make them feel safe by acknowledging that we value them and we cherish them in relationship. And the way we get to handle when they're emotionally all over the place is we get to ground them. We get to ground their emotional back and forth. This is super, super, super critical. That is what women depend on us for. That is what the feminine energy depends on the masculine for. To be heard and feel safe and to become emotionally grounded. Okay? That is the interdependence of the feminine on the masculine. Now the masculine depends on the feminine to be acknowledged for what we're doing. To be acknowledged for what we're doing in the world. And to feel respected for what we're creating, right? We want to get that acknowledgement and respect for the women, from the women in our life, from the feminine in our life, for what we're out in the world creating, because there's so many things that we're doing, and it's up to the feminine in our lives to really acknowledge and show us love for that. There's nothing more powerful for a man or for the masculine figure in a relationship than to feel that love, feel that acknowledgement, and to feel seen for our mission and for what we're creating in the world by our feminine partner. That is fuel for us. That nourishes us. That lights us up, and that gives us the fire that we need to carry on. Aaron says, what? Me emotional? Never. What's up, Josh? How you doing, my man? So guys, this is the thing. So we need each other. And here's what the masculine really needs from the feminine. More so than anything. The masculine is looking to be set free emotionally by our feminine partner. For most men, our emotions are considered a liability. Our emotions are considered weakness. Our vulnerability is something that we've hid. We have suppressed and hidden our emotions. And for a lot of us, we've forgotten how to feel. We've forgotten how to deeply feel. We don't know how to be in connection with our heart. And so we rely on our women to be that loving touchstone for us, to allow us to sort of really drop in and just be able to feel and to feel safe to be vulnerable. So isn't that interesting? Like, women depend on men to help them feel safe. But in a very powerful way, men rely on women to feel safe emotionally. So it's just as important for you ladies to make us feel safe as men with so that we can open up our hearts and show you what's vulnerable for us, because it's very scary for most men to be in touch with their feelings and to express those feelings. And we're not going to be expressing feelings. Most men are not expressing feelings to our guy friends. That isn't a dialogue that we have. And we don't talk about it to our families. We don't talk about it to anybody. You are the person, if you choose to take this on, you are the container that we can open up our hearts to. And it's up to you to lead the way in that and give us a container in which we can be free emotionally. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 if this makes sense, guys. And guys, if any of this is resonating with you, please share this video. Share it with your tribe. Share it with your people. I want to get this information out to as many humans as possible. That is my commitment. That is what I am all about. Robert is sharing a lot of beautiful stuff. I really appreciate it. Everything is coming through. I love it, I love it, I love it. And so guys, that's how the masculine and feminine energies are very, very, very powerful. And we rely on each other to evoke certain feelings and certain levels of growth and transformation from each other. That is the masculine and feminine interdependence. And it is absolutely critical. And so here's the thing. We have to have, both partners have to be in their unique balance point. Whether it's majority feminine or majority masculine, there has to be a polarity. Both partners have to be on their end of the spectrum. What happens though a lot of times is both partners end up Sometimes the partners will end up on both sides, on one side of the spectrum, and then we have what's called collapsed polarity. Okay? When the polarity in a relationship collapses, the relationship no longer works effectively. This is a problem. How do you think this happens? I'd love to hear from you guys. How can the polarity in a relationship collapse? What do you think that looks like? What's up, Betsy Colarusso? How you doing? Linda McLeod. What's up, guys? Good to see some new people on. Love it. So when the polarity in a relationship collapses, a lot of times it's because either the feminine partner, the majority feminine partner, is in her masculine, or the masculine partner is in their feminine. And because here's the problem, both partners can't be in that same space at the same time and maintain and sustain a healthy relationship, right? And the most common way that this happens, and this is something that happens with a lot of my clients, is that the woman or the majority feminine partner in the relationship, she's had to adopt a lot of masculine energy in her life, usually for her career. It's because it's been a survival mechanism, because when you're out in the world, for women, you're in a boys club. You're dealing with a lot of guys, you're dealing with a lot of male energy, and in order to work with that and to not get run over by that, you have to be in your masculine a lot. Or maybe a woman has had a lot of trauma in relationship or a lot of trauma in her family, and because of that, she's had to adopt masculine energy and put on a masculine mask in order to create her own safety. Okay? This is what women will do. Women will adopt masculine energy in an unnatural way in order to feel safe and in order to push through and protect themselves from people or situations trying to take advantage of them, okay? So when polarity in a relationship collapses, it happens one of two ways on that end. It's either a woman has had to be in her masculine all day at work or at work consistently, and she gets home and she can't shift out of it. She can't shift out of it, or she doesn't shift out of it, and so she comes home in her masculine and starts bossing around her man, and guess what happens? The man then has a choice. He can either respond with masculine energy and create a war, right? Because when masculine meets masculine in a relationship, it creates a confrontation and it creates a toxic masculine stew in the thing. Or he can go another way and he can submit and go into his feminine in that situation and just be like, oh, I can't even deal with this. And when he does that, then the polarity totally collapses in another way, and it's totally inverted, and that doesn't work. Because then the woman sees that the man is in his feminine, and she feels even more not threatened because he's not making her feel safe because he's in his feminine, and guess what happens? Then she goes even more into her masculine to make herself feel safe. You know what I'm saying? So this is a very, very critical thing to understand, is that ladies, if you're in your masculine, in your relationship, both parties can't be at the same end of the energy spectrum at the same time. You and your partner can't both be in your masculine at the same time. Okay? And so if you're going to be in the masculine in your relationship, you're going to emasculate your guy, or you're going to collapse the polarity of the relationship altogether. So it's very important to recognize if you got on a masculine mask and be able to take it off. Linda says, relationship collapses when we don't honor each other's need to be balanced in our energies. Also, when we fear allowing each other to change and accepting we can go with the flow of that change. Absolutely. Betsy says, give an example of a woman in her masculine. Well, Betsy, I was just talking about this a second ago, but a lot of times when a woman is especially in a leadership position at work, she's got to be in her masculine, and then she comes home and she can't switch it off. And then she comes home and she adopts that masculine energy and starts bossing around her man at home, and she emasculates him and starts basically bullying him, or at least that's how he feels about it. And he feels either emasculated and resentful, or he responds by being confrontational and coming over the top of her, and it becomes a war. Or the other way that this happens is if a man is getting emasculated at work or emasculated in other areas of his life, and so he feels supremely disempowered, and he comes home in a very disempowered state and doesn't show up as a man for his partner. Ladies, have you ever been with a man, have you ever, yeah, exactly, Betsy, bossing, coaching, telling him how he can change. If you want to emasculate your man, make him feel wrong. Make him feel wrong all the time. I was in a relationship once where, I mean, her heart was in the right place, but a lot of all she did was just tell me what I could do better all the time. That was incredibly emasculating for me. That was incredibly disempowering for me to feel like I was always doing things wrong, especially when all men crave from women is to be acknowledged and to be told that we're doing things right. That's all we want. So ladies, if you're henpecking your man, if you're just badgering him and telling him all the things he's doing wrong and not acknowledging him and nourishing him for what he's doing right, you are screwing up the polarity of your relationship. We got to be careful about this, guys. You have to honor the polarity of your relationship and recognize that it is essential for you to stay on one end of the spectrum and for him to stay on the other end of the spectrum, but also it's okay if things have to shift. It's okay if things can shift, right? So say you're in a position where the woman needs to be in the masculine for a little bit, like she's planning a picnic or she's doing something where she needs to be the driving force in the relationship for a little bit. In that case, it's okay for the man to take a step back and for the woman to take the reins and to push forward and do the thing, right? But in general, you want to be in a balance point where you allow, as a feminine force in the relationship, you allow your man to plan the dates, to be in the lead, to take control, to set the frame. We want that. We're craving that energetically at a very deep level. So it's important to know what is the unique balance point of relationship, of energy in your relationship. And if you need to shift it up for a little bit, where your feminine partner steps into her masculine, or as the masculine partner, you step into your feminine, that's okay, but just have a balance point to be able to come back to. So do you guys see that the importance of recognizing the energy of both of yourself and of your relationship? This is absolutely critical. And if you can do this, if you can practice this specific embodiment of what it means to be in your masculine or be in your feminine and honor that polarity both within yourself and in your relationships, you're going to be much more effective in connecting with other people. So guys, that's the Matt challenge for this week. The Matt challenge for this week is for you to look at your relationships, both within yourself and out in the world, and ask yourself, am I demonstrating proper polarity? Melissa says, some like me have never known how to be feminine. Yeah, and maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't, maybe you didn't get an example of what that looked like at home. That's okay. It's never too late for you to learn what it means to be in your feminine, what it means to soften, right? What it means to open and connect with your heart and be in this vulnerable, connected space. Betsy has a great question. So how do we get into our feminine and still ask for what we need? I love that question. I love that question, Betsy. So here's the thing. Being in your feminine doesn't mean that you don't own your voice. Okay? There's a definite, I want to be very, 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 very clear with that, right? Being in your feminine does not mean that you're a doormat. It doesn't mean that you don't own your voice. It doesn't mean that you don't ask for what you want. When you're in your feminine, you still get to be in deep ownership of who you are and what you want. All right? And you get to ask for what you want in a powerful, embodied way, but in a playful way. It's all about the energy that you put into that request, right? You get to ask from a space of softness, from a space of love, and you get to ask through a space of open communication with your partner. If you're in a healthy relationship with your partner, asking for what you want doesn't mean that you're inverting the polarity of your relationship. If you're telling him, hey, do this or else, in a very aggressive or hostile way, then you're doing it from a masculine place, right? And maybe that's not healthy. But if you're doing it from a space of, hi, it would really mean a lot to me. I would really love it if you could honor this for me, or if you could do this for me. You can ask for what you want from a feminine space and in a feminine way, and trust me, it'll be way more effective than if you do this in an aggressive or masculine way. Men want to make you happy. Men want to honor and give you what you want. And if you come to them in a powerful, vulnerable, feminine capacity and ask for what you want and demonstrate and powerfully communicate to them that this will make you happy, that it will light you up, then they're delighted to do this. They're delighted. Men just want to do things to make you happy. They truly do. So you'll get more of what you want in your relationship by being in ownership of your feminine and really asking for and sourcing what you want in an empowered feminine way than you'll ever get from being like a hen-pecking, aggressive, masculine force. Does that make sense? Are there any other questions? I'm happy to answer any other questions. Melissa says, yes, I've seen this work. It's surprising to her. It's surprising, well, because we're all programmed to think that you have to get what you want. You have to force your way through it in a masculine way. And it's just not true. The feminine way of getting things done and of asking for what you want is actually much more powerful than the masculine. Are there any other questions, guys, before I wrap this up? I'd love to answer any more questions from you guys. Because, I mean, there's a million things to talk about this stuff, and I could do it till I'm blue in the face, but I got a lot of other things I got to do today, but I'd love to answer any remaining questions that you guys have on this topic. And remember, your mat challenge is to look at your relationship with masculine and feminine energy, both within yourself and in the relationships in your life. Look at it in your romantic relationship. If you're in a romantic relationship, look at it in other relationships that you're having and really ask yourself, am I in polarity? And what would it look like for me to shift into polarity? Do I know what my balance point is? What my unique balance of masculine and feminine is? Do I know what my partner's is? Do I know what our balance point for our relationship is? It's going to be different for everybody. Some relationships, the woman's a little more masculine than in others. And that's okay. It's okay. As long as it's authentic to you and it feels good and you guys coordinate and collaborate well in relationship, then it's authentic to you. But if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling drained in that relationship, chances are a major reason that could be is because you're not feeling like you can be in your natural energetic state with your partner. If you're a woman, you're probably in your masculine too much. I know a lot of women, they get very exhausted in relationship. They get tired because they're constantly having to be in their masculine around their partner. They're constantly having to push him to do things. They're pushing him, they're chasing him. They don't feel safe with him. That's when the polarity has collapsed. So if you're feeling drained, if you're feeling not fulfilled in your relationship, chances are there's a polarity issue that's happened. Okay? So look at that. That's the mat challenge, is look at that and look at what it would take for you to shift into powerful polarity. What would it look like to soften more into your feminine and to be more allowing and to surrender and to be playful and to be light and to set your partner free? And if you're a man, what would it look like for you to be that strong, powerful frame in a relationship? What would it look like for you to make your partner feel safe? What would it look like for you to honor her and hold space for her and be that like powerful protective force for her? What would it look like? What do you have to change? How do you get to shift to make that happen? Because if y'all can do that, it's going to make a huge difference in your relationships and a huge difference in your life. Give me a 1 if you guys are committed to taking this on in your life. Give me a 1 if you're committed to owning this in your life. Because if you do, it will be transformative in your relationships. And know that it will shift. The polarity in your relationship will shift over time. It will shift in your relationships, and it's okay. It is a fluid, magical process. But it starts with you being in ownership of where you're at on that spectrum. Betsy's in, Linda's in, Keith is in. Keith says, can you do too much, give too much? Keith, I'm going to need a little bit more specificity before I'm going to be able to answer that. Maybe I'll answer that in the comments after the show. Melissa's in. I love it. I love it. I love it. Because yeah, guys, it's essential. It's essential for us to be successful in relationships and for us to be successful in life. So I know I've talked about this topic a little bit here and there in a piecemeal way, but I wanted to do one full-fledged overview of it so that we can all be on the same page moving forward. All right, so I hope you guys liked this. I hope it resonated with you, and if it did, please share this content with your tribe, with your group, with any groups that you're a part of. I'd love to get this out to as many humans as possible, and I'll put a link to my YouTube channel in the comments, and we're gonna be throwing up all my best Mondays with Matts over on my YouTube channel. I'll also be doing specific content for my YouTube channel as well. So stay tuned for more of that. Thank you guys for joining me. I love you all dearly, and I will see you guys next week on Mondays with Matt. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Robert, Keith, Melissa, Chetan, everybody who's been watching, Nicole, Betsy. You guys are amazing. I love you dearly, and I will talk to you soon. Have a great week. See you next week.